Right now on the National Weather Desk.
Oh boy. All right, big wind, big.
Severe storms strike again, this time in Illinois and Missouri.
Everybody was able to get it safely into the bathrooms, take shelter.
While cleanup continues in what's been a record tornado year in Ohio.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Utah prepares for what's expected to be a massive earthquake in the coming decades.
There's a 57% chance of a magnitude 6 or larger earthquake in the next 50 years.
Frost fears. How to protect your plants from springtime frost.
Frost is ice that freezes to the cells of the plants.
And GATOR Gate. A most unwelcome guest attempts breaking and entering.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Steve Rudin from WJLA in Washington, D.C. Another round of severe weather pounded the Midwest on Thursday. Our storm chaser Brett Adair captured this from Whitehall, Illinois. It's about 75 miles north of St. Louis. He also saw what was a tornado or a gustnado. A gustnado can look like a tornado, but it's not. It does not connect with the base of the cloud. The National Weather Service confirmed a tornado touchdown in Greene County, Illinois. There was significant damage at Brookdale Farms. Video shows the area had several buildings damaged. One building hit was hosting a rehearsal dinner for a wedding when the storm arrived.
Well, we were having a rehearsal dinner going on for a wedding that we have here on Saturday, and thankfully everybody was able to get it safely into the bathrooms, take shelter, and nobody was injured during that time.
In St. Louis proper, the storms took down large trees and power lines. Thousands of electric power were without electric power, and this morning, only about 2,000 remain without electricity. That damage came one day after a different line of storms produced 5 tornadoes in Ohio. Here's a look at the damage left by one twister just north of Columbus. The National Weather Service estimates winds reached at least 90 miles per hour. In the town of Bucyrus also sustained significant damage. As Jeremiah Wilcox reports, it appears the warning sirens didn't go off until after the storms arrived.
Strong winds, heavy rain, and dangerous debris flying through the air. LaShawn Willis witnessed it all. This tree uprooted, narrowly missing his home.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Bucyrus, one of the hardest hit communities. Violent storms ripping down power lines, leaving homes and businesses without power. Locals saying they also ran into another major issue, a delay with emergency sirens.
Because the winds were pretty much blowing at least 40, 50 miles an hour. And actually, by the time I got an alert to my phone, it was like 3:45. But then alerts started going off like 2 or 3 different times. And like I said, by the time the siren went, between the siren and the rain, it was kind of difficult to even hear the tornado siren.
Bucyrus Police Captain Thomas Walker giving us insight about the issue.
We were already in the midst of going through it when the sirens went off. Matter of fact, in some particular areas, it was already over with.
Is there a reason why for that, or?
It would have been what I would refer to as a pop-up. I don't have any formal weather training, but it just popped up. The conditions were perfect and it just happened. I can't blame anybody for it.
Despite damage estimates in the community of more than $1 million, Walker stressing people in the community remain hopeful and focused on recovery.
Our community is a very tight-knit community overall. And people are so giving and so caring.
It's going to take a while, but like I said, if everybody just pulls together, we can get it done. Maybe a couple of months, might take a year, but, we'll get it done.
More than 30 twisters have now been recorded in Ohio since the first of the year, and severe weather season has only just begun. Normally, the range is between 13 and 17. Over in Iowa, more than a dozen tornadoes touched down on Tuesday alone. Meteorologist Kason Frashis has more.
So far, 13 tornadoes have been confirmed from those April 16th storms. 5 of those in northwestern Iowa, 6 in central Iowa, and 2 here in eastern Iowa. The strongest of those tornadoes being in southeastern Iowa, an EF2 rated tornado with peak winds of 130 miles per hour. It also has a 42-mile path. It eventually lifted right along the Mississippi River there before it made its way into Illinois. Some of the worst damage was seen just to the north north of New London. A brick house on a farmstead. The roof was completely blown off of that and also had an exterior wall collapse with that storm. The other tornado in eastern Iowa, a little bit closer to home in Buchanan County, EF1 rated, trees uprooted, of course some buildings damaged as well, and there was actually an overturned semi there on Highway 20.
To the Middle East, Dubai is still reeling following this week's historic rainfall and flooding. The desert city saw more rain in 24 hours than it has seen at any time in the last 75 years. In fact, it was more typical than they see in a normal year. Abandoned cars litter the city's flooded streets, and the airport, which is the second busiest in the world, is still not fully operational and may not be so for at least another 48 hours. This image from Dubai has certainly gone viral. It shows a cat hanging onto a car's door handle, trying to stay out of the rising waters. A Dubai police officer scooped up the kitty and put it in a boat and taken to safety. Utah is hit with about 1,500 earthquakes a year, but just 2% are strong enough to be felt. 4 years ago, a magnitude 5.7 quake rocked Salt Lake City, and experts believe more tremblers like that are in the state's future. As Ariel Harrison explains, Utah is ready.
Mary Flitton remembers the Magna quake like it was yesterday.
You'd start shaking and you'd think, oh no, not again.
With a magnitude of 5.7, the quake damaged streets, buildings, and structures, including Granite School District's Westlake Junior High.
This is the only school in the state that experienced, that was condemned as a result of the earthquake.
At the site of the school's rebuild, district spokesman Ben Horsley says cracks could be seen throughout the old building after the seismic event.
We're one of the oldest school districts in the state, so on average we have some of the oldest buildings. There's a lot of work left to be done.
How do you think Utah's doing in that regard, specifically the building codes?
So our newer buildings follow international building codes.
Dr. Christine Pankow, the acting director of the U Seismograph Station, says new builds are built for earthquake country. It's the old buildings that are not.
And along these faults, there's a 57% chance of a magnitude 6 or larger earthquake in the next 50 years.
With roughly 80% of the state's population living close to the Wasatch Fault and that number only growing, she says it's not only crucial to mitigate risks.
If you're in an older brick building and you're going to replace your roof, it's a great time to think about removing your chimney and doing some other just standard retrofits that can make your personal facility safer.
But also teach kids and families to be ready.
Because we're standing on fault lines right now, and you can't change that. You just have to be prepared for that.
We're getting a better look at how summer could feel for the southeastern portion of the United States. Meteorologist David Glenn takes a look at the long-range forecast.
If you like warmer than average temperatures, I think you're really going to like what the map is showing here, where temperatures over a large part of the interior sections of the southeast are expected to be well above average. Now, as far as rainfall with both above average temperatures, rainfall could be in the exact same category, especially for areas like Birmingham, Atlanta, Chattanooga. That area represents a 40 to 50% chance that rainfall could be above what's considered average for the start of the summer season. Parts of coastal areas of Florida and Texas are expected to be a little bit below average. This is an important category because if you're going through drought, temperatures could then be a lot hotter. So balance that with rainfall that may help hold temperatures at least away from being extremely hot. And right now, the drought monitor issued for the middle part of April shows some abnormally dry parts of the interior southeast, but nobody under really a drought. Southern parts of Florida, a little dry, say north of West Palm up to about Cape Canaveral, but the only area of the south that's under a drought right now, south central Texas, from San Angelo down to Corpus Christi. We'll keep an eye on those trends as we head through the summer months.
According to a report from the CDC, record heat in some parts of the U.S. has led to higher rates of emergency room trips last year. Emergencies linked with extremely high temperatures include heat stroke, cramping, and sunburns. The sign may say hello, but this guest certainly was not. Yes, that's an alligator trying to climb the front of the house. The owner kept her distance as she recorded the unusual scene in South Carolina. The gator finally gave up. And yes, gators can climb. They've been known to perch themselves in trees. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, fire season is approaching in California. We'll see how local officials are prepping. Plus, tips on how protecting your garden from frost during the springtime months.
I'm meteorologist Ryan Munn with a look at the Northeast as we head through the day on Friday. We are going to see a good deal of clouds for most areas, a little bit more sunshine in parts of Maine, but then a cold front passes through, and with that we will run the risk for some rain in parts of western New York and Pennsylvania as we head through the morning and afternoon, and then more showers are possible on Saturday for much of southern New England and parts of Maine as well.
I'm meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. We'll start the day with a few showers, and that rain will spread eastward across the region into the afternoon. Then overnight, that rain starts to clear out, and it's looking much drier for Saturday. Temperatures this afternoon reach the 50s, 60s, and the 70s. Then overnight, it gets cooler as temperatures drop to the 40s, 50s, and 60s across the region.
Good Friday morning. Meteorologist Michael Arambor checking out your Southeast regional forecast. There will be some spotty showers possible in parts of North Georgia and South Carolina and the Shenandoah Valley as we head through the lunchtime hour. Otherwise, most of the Southeast near the coast will be sunny to partly cloudy. A lot of clouds will continue over the area of northern Alabama, northern Tennessee. Some showers popping up late in the evening, moving through Georgia and then off the South Carolina coast. High temperatures, except for 68 Nashville, 80s and low 90s everywhere else.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Let's check to see cities across the nation and what kind of weather they can expect to see today. We begin in Chicago. Scattered afternoon clouds and chilly highs in the middle 50s. Gusty winds will make it feel only like the 40s. Now we head to the Sunshine State with a look at downtown Tampa. Mostly sunny skies this afternoon. Hot temperatures upper 80s to around 90 degrees. And welcome to Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Population 2,200. A mix of sun and clouds will give way to mostly cloudy skies this afternoon. High temperatures will be in the 60s. And finally, beautiful Atlantic City from atop Ocean Casino Resorts. Skies are cloudy today along the coast of the Garden State with highs in the 50s. Showers are possible later this evening and then into the overnight. Wheat is an important crop in Michigan year-round. Winter wheat grows between fall and midsummer. Meteorologist Trevor Rebideau takes a look at how a very mild winter this year has impacted this year's crop.
With spring underway, it is time to look at the wheat crop around Michigan, which according to some experts is in very good shape.
Historically, we've produced about 35 million bushels of wheat statewide. Out of the last 7 years, that number's ticked up above that for a couple of years. But with the acres that we are planted this year, we are estimating that we're going to be down somewhere around 8% in terms of total production compared to where we normally are.
It was a late plant for winter wheat, but the mild winter helped this year's crop.
You did plant it in the fall, so it does have some growth. But if you get rain episodes, if you get freezing rain, if you get ice, if you get those kinds of things, you always want to have a nice layer of snow, we always say to kind of serve as a blanket to help protect it. And since we hadn't had some of those winds, we hadn't had the ice storms, we haven't had some of that, the wheat is really coming out of winter in really good shape.
While Michigan isn't the best grower of wheat in the United States, we still do well thanks to the Great Lakes.
When you look nationally, we rank about 10th, usually in wheat production across the U.S. And we have a great climate for wheat, and we have enough moisture, which is also why our wheat is used for things like Triscuits and shredded wheat and like stuff that you puff, because it has enough moisture that it will, when it's processed, it will actually puff and it won't shatter.
And the Great Lakes surrounding us provides kind of a buffer from some of those extremely colder temperatures. When you get a front coming out of the northwest, like our colleagues in Wisconsin, they can see much colder temperatures on that side of the lake than what we have here.
Are you ready? A big temperature swing is on the way. Much of the country could see below normal temperatures in the coming days. Cold enough for frost. That could be bad news for temperature-sensitive plants and flowers. Syracuse meteorologist Violet Skybore shows us how you can protect your garden.
Well, the favorable conditions for frost is clear skies, light winds, moisture in the air, temperatures somewhere in the 30s, and moisture on the ground. Even if temperatures recorded are above freezing, the ground is actually colder. So anywhere around freezing is when we could see some frost as cooler air actually drops down to the surface. And once water molecules in the air touch that frozen surface, they freeze into ice crystals and form frost on the grass, but also on any other vegetation, including the garden at your home. If you have any perennials that may have started to bloom, as we have had some warm temperatures, they could be damaged from frost. So how does it cause damage? Well, frost is ice that freezes to the cells of the plants and the flowers, and it expands as it freezes, bursting the cells of the plant and damaging them. And there's no reversal to this. So we want to prevent this from happening. How do you protect your plants? Well, 3 easy steps. Water them in the morning. That actually helps the plant to absorb some warmth through the day. Apply some dry mulch at night to keep that warmth compacted around the plant, and cover with a bed sheet, bubble wrap, a towel, or a cloche, which is a glass enclosure, to keep the warmth in and really prevent any frost from forming.
All right, warmer temperatures in California are a reminder that wildfire season is quickly approaching. Devin Hernanda spoke with wildfire expert to find out how to prepare for the upcoming season.
The temperature in the North State is rising this week, meaning fire season is just around the corner. Reading Fire Department Fire Prevention Specialist Sarah Roth tells me having a water source nearby while doing summer activities that have the potential to spark a fire, plus maintaining defensible space around your property, are important precautions to take. She adds it's best to have several options mapped out in the event of an emergency fire situation.
When it comes to the large wildfires, knowing your egresses, knowing multiple egresses from where you live or where you frequently spend time. That way you know when you are in an evacuation period that you can get out safely.
CAL FIRE Public Information Officer Jazz Shaw says covering vents and openings in the home with metal mesh and then keeping vegetation clear on your property are important as we move into the hotter, drier weather. Shaw tells me last year there was record rainfall plus an increased snowpack, leading to a slower fire season. This year, as we're seeing a wet spring, Shaw says CAL FIRE officials don't anticipate fire season to get busy until July or August. But she says that's subject to change depending on weather conditions or increased fire activity.
Nearly a year ago, an EF2 tornado ripped through Shawnee, Oklahoma. The twister caused widespread damage, and the community is still working to repair. Katie Arata tells us how several tribes have come together to help those impacted.
On April 19th, 2023, a devastating tornado ripped through Pottawatomie County, taking roofs off of homes, uprooting trees, and downing power lines. The Citizen Pottawatomie Nation tribe sprang into action after the tornado, helping the community in every way that they could.
CPN stood up and helped provide meals to the first responders, meals to some of those that were affected. It wasn't just tribal members. It was anybody. Actually helped set up the mobile emergency operations center in our parking lot here. Hundreds of first responders came in. Several tribes came in to assist.
CPN worked alongside local and federal emergency services, including the Intertribal Emergency Coalition, or Item C, which is comprised of nearly 30 tribes in the state who pool their resources together to help each other through weather emergencies.
We decided if any tribe had some type of damage, that the other tribes would come and assist whenever needed. 2 of the tribes actually brought their arbor service and went home to home and remove trees off of homes and off of cars, out of roadways, so they could open up the streets for emergency vehicles to go down.
Now, nearly a year after the tornado touched down in Shawnee, CPN says they're still doing everything they can to help those who are still making repairs.
It's just important for us to be a good neighbor and a neighbor willing to help when needed.
Time now for a short break, but first we take flight over Michigan's Spider Lake, just south of Traverse City.
Well, good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Phil Kelly. After a stormy day in the Mississippi Valley, that rain has moved off to the east. A little cooler. Green Bay only getting to 47 today, 59 in Kansas City. Dry conditions for the weekend, but we are going to be below average. We've been above average for much of the month. Temperatures on the chilly side both Saturday and Sunday, but outdoor plans look nice and bright as we stay dry and pretty pleasant for this time of year.
Good morning, meteorologist Chris Suchan here with your forecast across the region, and a little bit of a cooler Friday on the way. Really a nice way to get started here for the upcoming weekend. Highs 50s and 60s for most of the region, although we did get some 80s near the Gulf Coast out there in El Paso. No rain in the forecast. Now, that'll change Saturday. Next system will be moving in. A lot of cloud cover. See some showers and thunderstorms Saturday morning, and then through the day, pockets of rain. Some of this rain, especially in central Texas, could be on the heavy side. Temperatures stay cool as well.
Well, TGIF, everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. As we head into Friday out west, we're mid-April at this point, and it's starting to get kind of toasty in some locations. Look at Vegas back into the upper 80s, and Phoenix in particular, a roasting 95 in the Valley of the Sun. Perfect in the PNW. We'll see high pressure scooting on up in towards Seattle and Spokane. That'll bring on the sunshine as we head into our Friday afternoon for Puget Sound and Portland. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A handful of hail, part of what fell during severe storms in Ohio Wednesday. The bad weather spawned at least 5 tornadoes. Elsewhere on Thursday morning, a sunrise to match these vibrant forsythia blooms in Rhode Island. Now to Nevada, where there's literal horsing around among these lovely equines in the Washoe Valley.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
And in El Paso, Texas, many got to experience the dog days of spring earlier this week, but not because of warm weather. Here's meteorologist Brad Montgomery with more.
Got some video of the sundog yesterday, and if you look, there's actually multiple. There's that one to the right of the sun. As I kind of pan up, you can see the one above the sun. That one not quite as bright. And then as I pan to the left, you'll notice on the left side of the screen there's another fairly bright one. Now these are associated with 22-degree halos, and if you look closely, you can see the halo around the sun as well. Very, very bright as I was getting this, one of the brightest that I've ever seen.
We'd love to share your weather content. You can find us at the National Weather Desk. We'll be back after this. Thank you so much for looking in this morning. I'm glad you were able to join me. I'm meteorologist Steve Rudin from WJLA in Washington, D.C. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you here Monday morning.